Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello everyone, this is Jarvis Scott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with Miss Leah Wiggins of Farmers Insurance. Leah, thank you for taking time out your day.
Thank you for having me again. I enjoy this time we have to talk to people about things that are very important.
All right, so we want to talk about, we're doing a two-part segment today. We're talking about life insurance. So we're breaking it down for the single folks and people who have families. And the reason why I want to kind of break it down, because there's different reasons why people should get it. And let's first start off with single people. Okay. So with your agency, you probably call a lot of people throughout the day or prospect, and a lot of single people, and some of the objections probably would be, by saying, well, I don't have anyone, but what are some reasons why single individuals should purchase life insurance?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes people will say because I'm single and I'm not married, I don't need life insurance, but that could be far from the truth. In fact, it is, because there could be a number of reasons, because life insurance, people should know that it is an estate. It's the quickest way to amass money, so to speak. And if you have anything that is of value to you, or any person of value in your life, that life insurance, the benefits of that life insurance could go forth to help that entity or that person. So just because you don't have a spouse today, number one, that doesn't mean you may not have a spouse later. And number two, there are other things that you can utilize the benefits of life insurance for. So, so there are a lot of reasons why, and it doesn't necessarily mean you just have to be married to have life insurance.
All right, what about if someone owns a business?
Yeah, that's a good one. So if an individual owns a business and you have a partner, typically there is an investment from the partners, one or the other. And that business is actually operating because of both of your investments. If something happens to one of the partners and they no longer can put into that business, what happens to that business? Will it suffer? Will it diminish? Will it have to close its doors? Will it not be able to offer some of its products and services because your investment is not there? And what you do to generate income, or what you do to save money in that business. So it's important, and that's something that people utilize as maybe a key person or business partner policy, that you have a face value determined based on that person's interest, that if something happens to them, then the benefits of that policy passes on to the other person or persons and keeps that business afloat.
Well, one of the things I kind of came across the website, which maybe you want to call this, hey, we need to sit down and talk about this, is that number one thing they mentioned about why single people should have life insurance, they mentioned debt. And what happens, people just think it just magically disappears. But what happens after that process, especially by yourself and things like that? Yeah,
so debt is kind of tricky, because there are some debts that if you die, that they'll go away. For instance, like the some student loans, and maybe some federally backed or subsidized debt that may go away. But if you co-sign with, say, for instance, your mother or your father or someone else, and their name is on a car loan, for instance, if one of the person passes away, that company is probably more than likely going to still expect for that loan to be satisfied. So life insurance, it's a necessary thing, and it's also something that you will utilize because you don't want to keep somebody else on the hook for a debt that you had once you passed. So that's a good reason why you should have life insurance if you're single, because if you're co-signing, that debt may not go away. And then there are actually some private loans that may not go away if you pass. There are some things that do, but there are other things that don't.
All right, another thing I noticed on the website, y'all probably know I got a list of things, is that it lists like a history of family health issues.
Oh, yeah. So when you're single, whether you're young or old, and we all know that life insurance is less expensive the younger you are and the healthier you are. And so if you're single, and a lot of times it's when you're young, that's a good time to get life insurance, because who's to say, and we can never predict the future, what's going to happen to us health-wise. And you may become uninsurable, or you may develop health situations that make it more expensive to have life insurance. So when you're single, or maybe when you're just getting out of college, or maybe you're entering college, or maybe you're just starting to work and develop your career field, that's a good time to have insurance. So just because you're not married, but if you're healthy at that time, and you want not to be a burden to someone after you pass, you can go ahead and get life insurance then, because again, you're not sure, none of us are, about our health status.
All right, so maybe we have convinced you to get life insurance, and you hopefully you called her. So can you kind of walk us through the process?
Yeah. So our agency, Leah Wiggins Agency of Farmers Insurance, we're a multi-line insurance agency, and life insurance is one of the products and services that we provide to the community. They can call us. And normally what myself or my staff, what we do is we do just a quick interview and say, hey, what did you have in mind for face value? And then we kind of talk about some general health situations. Do you take blood pressure medicine? Are you on cholesterol medicine? What's your height and what's your weight? So we ask some very general questions, because we don't in our office do the actual paramedics and do the underwriting, but we provide what we call some preliminary questioning so that we can provide a price for you based on the type of life insurance that you may need. So we'll ask some general personal questions, and then the face value, and then that's how we get started. And then we'll plan for a more extensive interview just to determine what that person's specific needs are. What do you need this for? Do you need this insurance for another 30 years? Are you trying to cover some debt? Are you trying to cover some loans? Are you trying to just leave an inheritance for your children, or to your niece, or to your nephew? So we kind of find out what your needs are, because everybody has a different situation. There are some similar things that everybody will have as it relates to life insurance, but there are a lot of things that are different because it's custom to you.
So, like, as far as the application process, because a lot of times people say, well, I just got to fill out just a simple application. Then they say, well, somebody has to come out and do the blood pressure check and the blood test. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, was some of the application, but the paramed, which is where a professional will come out and do, they may take a urinalysis where you may have to go, do a urinalysis. Sometimes they take blood, but it's typically free from the company. You don't have to pay for it. They'll set up an appointment time that's convenient for you, either at your home, or you can go to their office if we utilize a company that has an office. But that is something that is fairly simple. The paramed is fairly simple. Once they get to asking you a few medical questions, which they, in a lot of cases they do. And there are some policies where they'll ask no medical questions except whether or not you're in a nursing home or if you're on oxygen. And there's a segment for that. But if you, generally speaking, do a paramed and they ask those questions about your health, they'll take that, which is simple for you, and then they may ask, based on the answers that you provide, for the medical records from your doctor.
Okay. So, but usually, I know this just came in my head when you was talking about, tell people the importance of being honest when you answer these questions.
That's very important. Just put it all on the line. It's no need to hold back what you're doing if you're a smoker, if you're not a smoker, because these things can be detected in some of the paramedics and some of the exams up to a certain amount of days. Just be honest. And that saves you from a lot of heartache and questions when it comes to pricing, because it is variable based on your particular situation. And if you provide that up front, you won't get the sticker shock, and that way it just just puts everything on the line. So it's no right or wrong answers. First of all, it's just what's specific to your situation. Just tell them.
What would you say to people that say, like, they come to you and you give them a quote, but the people that want to shop around for quotes all the time, can you kind of break that down? Like, usually at some point, all of it's going to be about the same, because, like you said, if you do the application, do the checkup, and they come back, it's going to end up being the same thing.
Well, yeah, so pricing may vary from company to company, but what you want to look at, too, is the ratings on the company that you're getting the insurance from, because that matters, because whether or not they're able to pay the claims. So if you have a death claim, you want to make sure that that's a company that, based on the rating, that they have the AM best rating, so that they are able to pay the claim. So that is important for the company. Now, company name Farmers, we've been around over 90 years. We do this every day. You're probably more familiar with that. But another company may not have the same type of rating. So that just goes for the company rating. But in terms of the pricing for the policy, typically the range is about the same. And it's all going to be relative to you.
Okay.
So if you're comparing a 30-year, let's say, term policy with you to me, it may be different. Number one, you're younger than me, so it's probably going to be less expensive. And so there are different variables in our health that will affect it. So if you have a cheaper policy for a 30-year term, and I have one that's 30-year term, you're not doing an apples to apples comparison. It's probably apples to oranges. So just be aware of that.
Can you speak briefly the difference between term and whole life? Because people probably hear that a lot.
Yeah. So term is just that. It's for a specific term or a specific time period. That's typically 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years. That policy is in effect for that face value for that time period based on you at that age. And typically a term policy is utilized if there are specific amounts of debt that you're trying to cover or a specific time that you want to have insurance for. And the term policies don't carry any of the other benefits like cash building up in it and cash value, because it's just for that time. But the good thing about those two is that they usually are relatively less expensive because they're only for a specific time period. But the negative will be in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, you're back at the drawing board, getting another term policy, and your health, and more importantly, your age, of course, has changed, and it becomes more expensive. So, but it has its value. So that's term. In terms of permanent life, a whole life policy is part of a permanent life. That means it's a permanent policy. It's rated based on where you are today, your height, your weight, your health, your face value, all that's rated at that point in time. And typically those permanent policies build up a cash value, and they pay a specific amount at the end of that policy. And they usually go well into late 90s and 100 years of age. But there are a couple of different variables under the permanent policies where you can have a flexible premium, where you can pay a certain amount today and have a plan to pay that same amount for the rest of the time period, but something happens in life. And so now I can't pay the premium this day or this month, and so you may have cash value that can pay the premium for you, or it may waive, if you so choose to get that type of endorsement, it may waive the premium for a time period. And then another benefit of some of the permanent life policies is the cash value can be utilized for things like something happens significant in your life. You can take loans from it. Now that takes away from the actual value of the policy, but you can utilize it for those things in your life. So the whole, the term, the permanent, they all have their specific value and use, but you just have to talk with your agent and kind of find out what works best for you. There's no right or wrong in those choices. It's what works for you.
All right, so I got two final questions.
Okay.
First question is, for more information if they want to contact you. And the final question is, why should they choose you? Yeah,
so I am the Leah Wiggins agency at Farmers Insurance. We can be found on all the social media platforms, Leah Wiggins Agency. My number is 205-325-1745. LeahWiggins.com is our website, and you can find us. And one of the reasons why we think we are of value to the community is, number one, we're established. We've been here for over 10 years now, and we have a heart to make sure that legacies are prepared for people after us. And we look at the best options for the individual, and we try not to make everything so cookie cutter. So we're very custom in our direction and our interaction with our clients, And we're here to serve you Monday through Friday, appointments on the weekend. Like I just had somebody right before we started to call me on my cell phone. So we're accessible. And that we think helps us stand out. And so the people have also spoken and said that they appreciate us too. So it is very reaffirming that people affirm you. And so that helps us keep going.
All right. So Leah, thank you again. You said the contact phone number, right?
325-1745-205 is the area code.
All right. So Leah, thank you again. And part 2 is coming up next. This is for the family folks. So thank y'all again. Please check out What's Happening in Birmingham for the latest videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank y'all again. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.